Welcome to the Make the World a Better Place podcast. I'm your host, Shanice Harris, and this season we'll meet leaders with connections to Girl Scouts serving in our community and beyond. Together, we'll hear stories from Girl Scout alum and their adult supporters who are making the world a better place using their courage, confidence, and character. This is the Make the World a Better Place podcast. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Make the World a Better Place podcast. I'm your host, Shanice Harris, and I'm here with a very special guest, a volunteer that leads with purpose in the boardroom and beyond. As Chief Communications Officer at Hampton Roads Transit, or HRT as you may know it, Alexis knows what it means to lead with intention. Her work connects communities, fosters trust, and ensures that every voice is heard. Let's welcome her to the podcast so she can share some of the ways that she helps Girl Scouts shine through her role with GSCCC. Welcome, Alexis.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to dive right in so our guests can get to know you a bit more. As I know, and they may not know, you wear many hats. As I mentioned, HRT's Chief Communications Officer. You're a Girl Scouts of the Colonial Coast board member and a troop volunteer. Wow. How do you find time and the passion between your professional responsibilities and your commitment to Girl Scouts just to make this all happen?
That's a great question because I often wonder myself how I'm able to juggle it all. But I really think it comes down to just prioritizing what I feel is most important. I know that I can't do everything, right? I'm not Superwoman. I can't do everything, but I can be intentional about the time that I spend. And not only that, but also being present wherever I am. So if I'm at work, I'm 100% at work and I'm doing work things, I'm thinking about work. However, if I'm at Girl Scouts and I'm all in on Girl Scouts, I'm thinking about Girl Scouts, I'm strategizing with Girl Scouts, that's where I am. And when I'm with my daughters, as a mom, you need to be present, right? So for me, it's all about prioritizing the things that mean the most to me. It's about time management and making sure that I'm allowing myself enough time for each event. And then it's just, about me, being present wherever I am.
I love the way that you are mentioning that the importance of being in the moment where you are. You talked about the word presence, and we often find ourselves divided between so many responsibilities, and we want to fulfill all of these things and be great at everything, but you just do what you can in the moment. And when you're leaning in and being there, especially for Girl Scouts, showing up is what counts, and seeing there even on days where you're not 100%. So I love the things that you've learned through your professional responsibilities are trickling down, and I'm sure your troop sees that. Not every day Miss Alexis can show up 100%. Maybe she had a really busy day, but she's here for us, and I admire that. I love that word presence. I'm going to try to be more present. You talked a little bit more about this, but why Girl Scouts? What makes you want to be actively involved with this program specifically?
Well, I always wanted to be a Girl Scout growing up. I didn't get a chance to be one though, but I knew that Girl Scouts was an important program for any girl to be a part of. And so when I grew up and became a wife and mom of 2 daughters, I prioritized Girl Scouts. It was one of the first activities that I signed my eldest daughter up for when she turned 5. I was counting down until her birthday came so I can sign her up for Girl Scouts because I knew that's something important, something I wanted her to be a part of. And I think it's about, for girls, it's really, we need our own space, we need our own space to be who we are. We need to be surrounded by other girls. We need to be surrounded by women from all walks of life, right? Working moms, stay-at-home moms, any kind of woman, could be a role model for our girls. And so I really just wanted to immerse my daughters in an environment that was made specifically for them and with activities that are designed with them in mind. I have them in dance and I have them in gymnastics and They did softball for a period of time, and those activities are great. But just to be able to make friends, do things together, a way for them to learn and grow, those kinds of things really stood out for me. Social media has had an impact on our girls' self-esteem, and so I think Girl Scouts is the place where you can put the phones away and just focus on having fun with one another. And it's also a space, because it's just us girls, for us to talk about our feelings and our experiences, and for the adults in the room to give encouraging words to our girls. It's so important for them to hear and get the reassurance from women who have been there, done that, and moved on. So I want parents to know that Girl Scouts can be a good place for you and your daughter to learn and thrive.
I love that it's a low pressure environment where girls and women can grow together. We see our volunteers having so many firsts alongside their Girl Scouts, and I think that's a really beautiful part of this program.
Absolutely. And I mentioned being present, because our girls can sense when we're not present, when our mind is someplace else, we may be there physically, and so I think it's important for us to show them what it means to be present, and for us to just show up wherever we are, and fully ourselves.
Absolutely. Even when you're thinking about how can my Girl Scout divide her time, and you mentioned that your daughter is 11 years old, there's so many different groups and sports happening at that time, but one thing that I do love about Girl Scouts is that it's the team. It doesn't change. It's the season that never ends. There are things year-round, and we're finding, especially for girls of that middle school age, they indicate that friendships and a sense of belonging are the most important on their list of mental health indicators. Girl Scouts, especially middle schoolers, they really want to feel like they have a place where they can just be themselves. So I love to hear that as your daughter's getting older, she's still able to find a home in our program.
Absolutely.
As we're talking about all the different things that your troop is involved in, can we talk a little bit about cookies? How involved is your troop with cookies? Any goals for the upcoming year?
Absolutely. Cookies is always an exciting time for us. They really get excited when cookie season rolls around. We just attended the cookie rally for our service unit this past weekend. We also started talking about goals within our troop. So, we've been thinking, how many boxes do we want to sell this year? And we always think critically, is this a year that we have a lot of time? Because my girls like to go door to door in our neighborhood, and sometimes that can be time consuming, right? And so we're always thinking about, how much time do we have? What do our weekends look like? Do we want to do booths? How many booths are we thinking? And so we always land somewhere around 500 boxes per girl, and typically that means about 1,000 boxes out of our home. So that's kind of the goal, and the goal is to either meet or exceed that each year. And so we may not always meet 500 exactly, but we're always darn close, and in some years we've gone over. So that's great. But I think in terms of goals for the troop, I think for Troop 329, there are some goals to head up to Hershey Park with the proceeds of the money. So the girls are really excited about that, and we've been to Hershey Park before, so the girls are eager to go again. It's a great time of year, and the girls are really excited, and I'm excited too, honestly.
It sounds like you're all having fun with it, and that's the most important part. But can we hit a little bit on some of those skills that you're seeing your troop gain?
Yes. The biggest skill that I've seen my daughters learn is the public speaking aspect, right? When people come up to the booth, I make them do all the talking, right? They need to say, hello, would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? They need to tell them how much the cookies cost. They need to talk about the varieties. They need to talk about the ingredients. And so for some, sometimes introverted, shy girls, the public speaking aspect has really grown and improved, I've seen. But also the counting of the money, also the strategizing. What do we need to do to meet 500 boxes? How many booths does that mean? How many houses around our neighborhoods does that mean we need to visit? So all of those things kind of have contributed to their overall Girl Scout experience and has helped them to be successful entrepreneurs, right, for their cookie business. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I would always recommend to parents if they're thinking about Girl Scout. And they think there's a lot of pressure with selling cookies, but I look at it as an opportunity for their girls to just be exposed to something different, for them to just break out of their shell a little bit more, and it's really been beneficial.
The Girl Scout cookie program is such a unique experience for Girl Scouts to take part of, and the skills that they're learning, the decision making, the money management, those people skills will follow them into their future, their careers. These are skills that they can continue to build on, and sometimes that first ask, will you buy a box of Girl Scout cookies, may be a girl's first time speaking with a stranger and asking them to support her, so that yes, it's powerful to watch. Can you touch a bit on how your professional experiences have shaped some of the ways you approach your service with Girl Scouts?
Absolutely. When I'm at work, I'm making decisions all day long. What should we do? What shouldn't we be doing? This or that. Strategizing with the team. What do we think will increase ridership on our services, bus, light rail, and ferry? And so oftentimes I'm in meetings, and what I want for my team to feel is that when they're in a meeting with me, that they are being heard. Their ideas are being heard, their ideas are being considered, that their opinions matter, and that they have autonomy as a professional. So those things are important to me, and so I carry some of those over into my role as a board member for Girl Scouts, because knowing, as being a former troop leader and a current troop volunteer, I know that some decisions that are made at the top kind of trickle down and impact the troops. And so I want to make sure that I'm thinking about, well, how will this affect the troop? How will this affect the troop leader? And that their thoughts and their opinions and their experiences matter as well. Because sometimes you do have to make hard decisions, but what you want people to feel is that you did talk to them, you did consider them, and you heard them and understood them, and you sometimes empathize with them, right? Because it can be, a lot of pressure being a troop leader. So I also want to make sure that, I am, considering doing my research, thinking about the issue that is being discussed from a holistic standpoint and not just one perspective on it. That's something that we have to do at work as well. So just being an overall leader and, trying to be the most effective board member I can while I'm here at Girl Scouts, and being the most effective leader I can be while I'm at work as well.
As I said, you wear so many hats, and I could only aspire to fill the roles that you do. But for those looking just to get started, or busy parents who want to get involved or support their kids through Girl Scouts, but they don't know where to get started, do you have any advice for parents who are worried about finding the time?
When I first came into Girl Scouts, like I mentioned, I wanted to sign my daughter up for Girl Scouts, but there wasn't a troop available. And so I was asked, along with another mom, we were asked to start our own troop. And we were like, oh my goodness, what does that mean? So we dove in head first, because Girl Scouts was that important to us for our girls to be a part of. But not every parent needs to dive into that type of commitment. As a troop leader, what really helped us was when a parent would just help out at a meeting, help to wrangle the girls, help to, facilitate an activity. Those kinds of things really took the pressure off of us as leaders. So if you're not ready to dive in all the way and be, a troop leader like we did, something smaller, a little less, scary could be just volunteering at a meeting, getting the girls lined up, helping pass things out, helping keep the girls quiet when you're trying to, describe activity instructions. Those things really help. And then, like I said, facilitating an activity, if you bring an idea to the troop, that is something that could really help as well. So, I think there's plenty of opportunities. Talk to your troop leader about what they could be doing, what you could be doing to help them. And, I think it's a partnership, so I think, there's lots of opportunity there, and not to worry about finding the time. Really it's an hour or two every other week, however often your troop meets, so it's not too demanding. So
asking a troop leader ways that you can support them is a great way to start. Take small bites of volunteer opportunities, and you may find your passion from there, and you can keep the ball rolling. But supporting during troop meetings, helping out during cookie season, these are all ways that you can impact your troop in a positive way. Even if you don't have a Girl Scout in the program, you can reach out to us, and we are able to let you know what kind of council opportunities we have for outdoor facilitators, program partners. There's so many ways to get involved with Girl Scouts. We encourage any caring adult to bring their skills and talents to our team as a volunteer. You truly make the magic happen. And Alexis, you truly make the magic happen for your troop, and as a board member for all of the Girl Scouts in our council, your decision making helps affect their experience in positive ways. I know that you're working hard to make sure every Girl Scout has an experience as awesome as your girls have. I want to thank you for joining us today on the podcast and for taking time every day to support Girl Scouts.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
All right, thank you all so much for joining us for today's episode. I look forward to catching you next time. For more episodes like these, visit our website at www.gsccc.org